Do you agree with Stephanie White?
Listen, I don't watch the WNBA extensively enough to say whether I agree or disagree. But I've often used the line, Shay, that I'll share with you because I don't know if I've ever used it while you've been on the air with me. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it ain't a damn mongoose. I've said that many, many times over the years. There is a flagrant level of resentment that exists when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And it has existed since she has arrived in the league. She is the cash cow.
A single whistle, one collision, and one replay were all it took for the entire basketball world to stop focusing on the final score. Instead, everyone began asking the same question: what really happened to Caitlin Clark? No one expected a single moment from an ordinary regular season game to dominate basketball conversations across the country. Not the fans inside the arena, not the commentators calling the action, and certainly not the thousands of people who would later spend hours replaying the same clip from every possible angle. Yet, that's exactly what unfolded. The final buzzer sounded, the players headed toward the locker rooms, but the biggest story of the night was only just beginning. Within minutes, social media erupted. The play spread everywhere: basketball pages, sports networks, YouTube creators, podcasts, and national television. Everyone seemed to be discussing the very same play. What made the situation even more intriguing was that no one could agree on what they had witnessed. Some viewers believed it was simply a routine physical basketball play, while others watched the identical footage and reached a completely different conclusion. The debate wasn't just heated, it was everywhere. People didn't watch the clip only once. They watched it repeatedly, slowed it down frame by frame, compared multiple camera angles, and read thousands of comments from fans who were convinced they had the right interpretation. The more the replay circulated, the more divided the basketball community became. That's when the story took another unexpected twist. The discussion quickly expanded beyond the WNBA community and spread across national sports media. Television programs began analyzing the incident. Basketball analysts offered conflicting viewpoints, and former players shared their own opinions. Every new perspective added another layer to the debate. Before long, what had started as one controversial sequence had turned into one of the biggest basketball stories of the week. Then came another major development. Stephen A. Smith addressed the growing controversy on First Take, bringing even greater national attention to a debate that was already dominating headlines.
This news: Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas receives flagrant foul 2 penalty and a 1-game suspension. I want to know your thoughts. Is 1 game enough? 2 games, 3 games? I'm seeing some say 5 games. I'm seeing some people say 10 games Alyssa Thomas should have been suspended for. I want to know what you think in the comment section below. Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas receives flagrant foul 2 penalty and a 1-game suspension. June 25th, 2026. Upon post-game review, the Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas has received a flagrant foul 2 penalty and a 1-game suspension for recklessly making contact with her fist to the throat area of Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark. It was announced today by the WNBA. The incident, for which Thomas was deemed to have committed a non-basketball act, occurred with 6 minutes and 52 seconds remaining in the second quarter of the Mercury's 111-109 win over the Fever last night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Per WNBA rule, the league office has the option following its review of any game to reclassify a flagrant foul or to classify as flagrant any foul not called as such during a game, and may impose a fine and/or suspension. Alyssa Thomas will serve her suspension on June 27th when the Mercury visit the Toronto Temple. Now I have a question, because this is similar to what happened with Kennedy Carter. This is also similar with what happened with DJ Nick Carrington. I have a question to the WNBA shills out there. Do any of you guys have the stones? Shout out to Rudy. Any of you guys have the guts, the balls, the courage?
The moment one of the biggest personalities in sports television joined the discussion, the story reached an entirely new level. It was no longer just Indiana Fever fans debating the play. Basketball fans across the country wanted answers. Was it simply an example of aggressive, high-level competition? Did the officials handle the situation correctly? Or had this incident become part of a much larger conversation about physical play, officiating consistency, and player safety in today's WNBA? Those questions continue to divide fans, and that's exactly why the story refuses to fade away. Every replay seems to spark another opinion. Every opinion fuels another debate, and every debate brings even more people into the conversation. One moment, one replay, one decision, and suddenly an entire league found itself at the center of one of the season's most talked about discussions. So, what actually happened during that sequence? Why has one play generated so many different reactions from fans, analysts, and former players? And why are people still debating it long after the final buzzer? Let's slow everything down, examine the sequence from beginning to end, and explore why this single moment has become one of the biggest talking points surrounding the Indiana Fever this season. As the game entered its most competitive stretch, the intensity naturally continued to rise. Every possession became more valuable, every rebound carried greater importance, and neither team was willing to surrender easy opportunities. Every player understood just how critical momentum had become. You could feel the atmosphere shifting. Every defensive stop was celebrated, every loose ball turned into a battle, and the physical nature of the game intensified with each possession. Then came the sequence everyone is still talking about. A fast-moving play involving Caitlin Clark immediately captured the attention of both the crowd inside the arena and viewers watching from home.
Our power and her cachet, and as a result, if they have an opportunity to go at her, they're going to take it. Now, Caitlin Clark is no innocent bystander in all of this. She's a high-end competitor. She can be very feisty. We saw from her college days where she can chirp and talk junk at you, which is why Angel Reese went at her when they ultimately beat her for the national championship, because she was chirping right back at her and trolling her. That's where the real fame of Angel Reese rose. We saw all of this. In the end, there are people that undoubtedly respect her, and you have an appreciation for what she's brought to the game in terms of notoriety and what have you. And I'll be the first to say that the Janae Ogumakays, the Andrea Carters, and all of them, Monica McNutts, are far more qualified than me to speak on the issue because they see more of it than I do. But with what I've seen, you are able to say 1 + 1 = 2. And there's been a level of resentment that has existed where I believe there's been a failure on the part of some people to appreciate the mantra of a rising tide lifts all boats. Ride this cash cow till the wheels come off. They did it in the NBA with Magic Johnson. They did it ultimately with Michael Jordan. You know, that's how you do this. You find somebody that just galvanizes folks and ingratiates themselves with the public at large in such a way where everywhere they go and whatever they do, everybody wants to watch. You don't resent that. You feed off of it to build your own. And I think that WNBA as a whole, that women's basketball as a whole, and some, not most, not all, but some WNBA players need to appreciate that and gravitate to that and grab hold of that and ride that wave to your own ascension, as opposed to resenting it and showcasing it the second you get an opportunity to, whenever Caitlin Clark is in your vicinity. That would be my advice. That's all I could say about that.
I didn't love that this happened not once but twice yesterday, where there was basically a no call. I thought Stephanie White did the right thing. She should have gone off. She needs to protect her superstar.
She did.
That's her right. Completely.
Absolutely.
I also do think the league should probably review this. I don't have information on if they have started that process or not, but I think that maybe would be a good call, considering some of the images that have come out from this. I'm not calling anyone a dirty player, but it did feel a little bit like a cheap shot. So I agree with Stephanie.
Well, the NBA, if the NBA is going to review calls, you're saying the WNBA can review calls and act retroactively and make sure that you hand down appropriate punishment where you...
Inside the arena, reactions came almost immediately. Online, those reactions multiplied within minutes. Video clips spread rapidly across social media, reaching basketball fans everywhere. Content creators began posting slow-motion breakdowns, while fans paused the replay frame by frame to examine every detail. As different camera angles emerged, each one seemed to ignite an entirely new debate. Some believe the officials made the correct decision in real time, while others argued the replay raised important questions that deserved further discussion. That's exactly why this moment became far bigger than a single possession. Once millions of basketball fans started analyzing the same play from different perspectives, the conversation naturally expanded beyond the game itself. And that's precisely what happened. The more people watched, the more questions they asked. The more questions they asked, the larger the discussion became. With every passing hour, it became increasingly clear that this wasn't just another viral highlight. It had evolved into one of the defining basketball conversations of the season.